There it is. Please request recording permission from the meeting host. All right, Max. I think you should get a notification.
We are recording.
Awesome. All right, sorry about that, guys. So identifying really what's actually in information and how it moves and stuff. So this chart is basically explaining to us the growth rate, and I kind of broke it down over here, where basically 1 gigabyte, it can hold approximately 16 hours of music or an hour and a half of a movie approximately, okay? So 1 exabyte, which is these numbers here, 15, 21, 28, 36, 46, and so on, that's 1 billion gigabytes, okay? 1 billion, now imagine that, right? So in 2010, they started creating these protocols, and these protocols allowed them to collect this type of information. So global IP traffic is basically what it's collecting and understanding kind of like how the information is moving and why. Kind of goes into the science of it. So if you look at the annual growth rate, it's been exponentially growing about 32% over year. Right now in the year 2020, we've hit a zettabyte, which is 1 trillion gigabytes. Now the next 2-3 years, they're thinking that's gonna multiply by 2 or 3 zettabytes. Now, that's a lot of data. That's more than think of it this way, it's more than somebody of humankind, the first word that came out of their mouth is more than all that on top of everything that's on the internet, it's everything. So the volume of that data is a lot, and the informational growth is huge. Now, since there's so much information being transmitted left and right all day, the complexity of the data is really crazy. There's all the recording and indexing going on continuously. And we're trying to understand how we can make this architecture better so we can understand more of our data and why people behave the way they do, what they're doing, and how they, when you go into sales and business and marketing and all that stuff, it actually starts making sense when you start looking at trends and why they're happening. There's a requirement for technological sophistication for data access. So that's part of the volume of information that's being produced. It made Google come out, right? It designed Google in a way, it became a search engine. Everyone started creating websites. Now you have all these people who are using specific keywords in search engines, and all this data is consistently coming to Google. I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be a long time ago, I think I was like in 3rd grade or 4th grade, it was like askjeeves.com, and they try to hook us on that instead of Google. And it was a new search engine, and in my school, they tried to make it into like the next Google, but it never worked out. So Google itself has owned and basically carries the weight on everything that when it comes to information, and even these analytics that we're talking about. So I'm gonna be basically spinning around Google and spinning around the data that's being collected around their criteria, because that's what you guys are gonna be potentially using, especially when you step outside of, into your passions, or if you're already even doing it, probably give you a better idea. And in 2017, Cisco Systems reported 15 billion devices connected. Now in the world, there's only around 8 billion, right? So you have to imagine the businesses and all that stuff. Obviously, not everybody has a cell phone or a device, but you have to look at 15 billion devices connected all at the same time. It's pretty crazy. So really giving attention to the understanding that, overall there's a lot of volume of information out there. And our goal is to decipher it using this system called web analytics and understanding how we can use these mechanics to take advantage of our things that we want to do. And if I'm speaking too fast, guys, just let me know and I can slow down. Sometimes I tend to ramble.
Nope, you're on. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so first I want to go over and let you guys know web analytics, it's actually a variable of a complete formula. And you have these 4 quadrants here, from quantitative to qualitative, and the attitude and the behavior on flip sides, okay? So the first thing we want to understand, web analytics, it's telling us what people are doing. And it's telling us where they're moving, why they're moving, how they're moving, and all these great things. It's collecting information for us. On the flip side, web analytics is being received from a quality approach of users' experience, how they're experiencing mobile apps, how they're experiencing websites, whether they're informational, B2B, B2C, doesn't matter. Usability is the most important thing. If you ever think about it, when you use your phone, if you download an app or you use a website on your phone or your desktop, if you can't get within a couple clicks to what you want, more than likely you're going to bounce off that page. You're not going to go investigate further unless you're actually on a mission to do something. So statistically, usability is the most key component next to performance when it comes to actually having a successful business or managing a successful business in today's digital world. Now on the attitude sides, it's like interviews, because you're getting personas now. So collecting information from individual, independent personas and interviewing the process through on what allows their experience to really, they get the experience of the brand, the message, the understanding of kind of like what you're trying to convey and sell, and why. Why did you go through all that trouble to spend that money, that time and energy and build that business? So these interviews processes, when they come independently, you get more of a clear idea when you're creating your data and making an analysis from the collection of web analytics. Same thing with surveys, right? We want to know a general population and do sample testing and understand as we collect the data. And we're looking at this quadrant here, we're taking into an understanding of surveys, interviews, and usability testing. Then you're coming to your web analytics, because now you're making an analysis. You're not just looking at numbers moving. You're looking at independent strategies, and as this data is being collected, you're starting to make decisions based on, okay, I posted a call to action to purchase a new gym t-shirt or something, or a barbershop, or you did some type of promo. You had an understanding of an intent to create a call to action, which allows you to create some significance in understanding what that data was collected for and how it was tested. So that's just basically, I want to throw a curveball at you guys to let you know, like, web analytics is like the component that collects everything and then allows you to make decisions based on strategic information that you're trying to collect from the data. So I hope that clears this up for you. All right, let's keep going. What web analytics can help us with. So basically, dealing with a lot of information when you're talking zettabytes, and don't even there's another thing called yottabyte, and that's like trillions of times trillions, and that's not going to be in our lifetime. But the zettabyte's going to be the highest. So informational growth, it's going to allow you to understand the different perspectives when it comes to marketing, revenue, people, and site, as this image I shared here. Understand the growth complexity of the data as it comes in. You need to start, it needs to help us, well, web analytics, what it does, it helps us understand and create an architect around the database on the types of people, the demographics, what their interests are. So all this information, web analytics allows you to collect based on the segmentation that you picked. Optimize users' access to key information. So this is like user behavior. You can see people and what they're clicking. You can use different types of tools to use heat maps, basically, to see where people are clicking, how long they're staying, and it gives you a better way to kind of take this information from web analytics, looking at the heat maps and connecting the dots and saying, okay, you're not driving your business blindly anymore. You actually have substantial data in your hand and understanding like what the process is going to be for you to make the users who are coming to your business on your website a better experience for them, so you can actually get them to convert into your call to action. And of course, as you collect all this information, web analytics also allows us to collect this information and create more technical sophistication based on this new tools, new widgets, new scripts, new APIs, new things that you can do that can allow your experience for your website be more successful. All right, now the question is, how does it do it? All right, so one second. So on this, I kind of want to go with prehistoric, because like I said, one of the best ways to learn is reverse engineering. And by reverse engineering, I mean like looking at this slide now, thousands of years ago, it was like the Big Bang Theory. Science was mainly naturalistic. It was just natural phenomena. Volcanoes erupting, things are just happening. Last few hundred years, theoretical branches started being made using models, using understanding of, A, B happens, then how does C come in? Last few decades, computational branches, similar to artificial intelligence, basically, and allow you to simulate things. Think of NASA, right? They can do computational information before they even get to the moon. And they use these types of things for these phenomena. And today is a different world. Today's data exploration is just science, data science. And today's allowed us the opportunity to understand like how we can use this, reverse engineering from how it began to today and how we can excel in our businesses and how we work. So today, the data is captured by sensors, instruments, and simulators. So basically, your Bluetooth devices, your cell phones, your laptops, your watches, anything that has some type of sensor, even the sensors that you even can think, even when you're driving on the highways and you see those tolls, they all have sensors. And what they're doing, they're collecting data, the car type, they can even examine, once they examine your license, they've examined everything. They know your identity. So then it's processed by the humans and the softwares, right? Depending on what is being collected. And then we go into information knowledge storage. So this is the process that it kind of follows in step by step. So as the information is being stored, web analytics, the data is being analyzed now. You can have a collection of data. You can have understanding of the management of the data, but you need to make some type of hypotheses. You need to make some type of analysis to make it make sense. And that's where network and web science occurs. And that basically in its own component, which basically this would be like 20 lectures to be honest with you. This is the realm of web analytics, just to give you an idea. Like this would be literally 20 lectures. But I just wanted to give you guys kind of an idea, kind of like how, the worldly life kind of like, grew from just having no technology or anything and just information being moved back and forth. Even our energies, if you're a positive person, you're just putting out positive energy. It needs to be able to be categorized and it needs to be stored somewhere so it can keep building that same kind of phenomenon, kind of like a grapevine. Any questions on this section right now? Okay, let's keep going. All right, finally, now we're coming to actually what is the purpose of this course, which is what is web analytics, right? So in simple terms, this is defined as web analytics is the collection, reporting, analysis of website data. And furthermore, to break that down, I made a little list here so you guys can visually see as well. Basically, it's data that's specifically collected over a period of time. Period of time is highlighted in bold because that's very important to understand, especially when you're working with web analytics. You need to select the time period and understand what you're covering, what the goal is on this journey that you're going to take, and try to understand what the purpose of web analytics and the Google Analytics and the campaigns and all that stuff. So, having that definitive timeline is very important. Internet data collected for reference or analysis. So this is, again, definition of what is website analytics. It's a reference or an analysis, right? You're collecting the data, internet data, and you're using it to look at, to point at as a source and look at as an analysis. Measurements to ascertain different sizes, degrees using instrument or devices. So clearly what it says, we use different types of devices, Bluetooth, cell phones, laptops, watches, and we have to define them as well in different components on categories when it comes to how can we measure it. And then it goes into reporting is reporting. So that's collected information that's going out. And now understanding to perceive like the significance, understanding of, why did this happen, right? What was the cause of this information? How did it occur? And what is it telling us? So this is where the science goes in, right? Because people say, oh, optimize, optimize, optimize. What are you really optimizing, right? You're really optimizing, if you look at it in a scientific format, is you've collected information that's been gathered based on the specific agenda that you have, the goal that you put out, the campaign, the call to action, whatever it may be. You decided that, So as you carried forward this information, you hit the boost button or start the campaign button, or maybe you said had some influencer marketing. As this information went out to the market and deployed into the market, you're collecting information on web analytics. Now, this is where knowledge has to kick in and optimize that knowledge, because you're going to be going back and forth and doing A/B testing. You're going to use different campaigns, different methods, from animation videos to just text and blogs to free giveaways, whatever it may be. You need to identify really what's moving these people. And that's going to help you as you're collecting this information, you keep looking at the web analytics on Google Analytics, and you keep optimizing the keywords, you keep optimizing specific buckets that you're using, and also you're paying attention to negative keywords. And I'll get into that later, but that's something that people, I feel like they overlook because I guess of the word negative or something. Ultimately, all this stuff kind of funnels into web analytics and the usage, and what you take with this information. The whole point of it, the reason it even exists, is we're trying to achieve a result. And then the only way you're going to ever achieve a result in life, even from my personal experiences going through corporate America, entrepreneurship, and doing multiple startups, has been you have to have a goal, you have to have a plan, you have to be committed, and you have to be dedicated. And we're talking about web analytics, and even though this short lecture is a small little one, but I hope that the information that I share with you guys, like, it's not just about the course of web analytics, but it's showing you how much information is accessible to you at your fingertips, and really just connecting and understanding with different people and networking, how much you can actually thrive when you actually have the right people in your influence, in a sense. Also, as far as web analytics goes, in simple terms, as far as website goes, think of total traffic, right? And then identifying the source of the traffic. Where did it come from? Right? Did it come from Facebook campaigns, influencer marketing, email marketing, direct mail, commercials, whatever it may be? Identifying the source traffic, web analytics allows you to do that. Bounce rate, when people come to your website, your landing page, whatever your campaign you're running, it's basically how much time they're spending before they leave, before going into inner pages. So it's a ratio that's created and formed based on the seconds and the times. And then the conversion rate, whatever your call to action is: join my mailing list, sign up for my newsletter, buy this now directly, come to this event. Whatever your call to action is going to be will be defined as the conversion rate. And just side note, the average person spends, like, when they're actually surfing the web, approximately 2 minutes at most on most websites. And even lower than that, you have different industries. Specifically, if you talk about like investment industry, real estate industry, and stuff like this, because there's so much of it and it's so saturated, it's actually sometimes like 15 seconds that you can catch this person's attention. And maybe that first impression wasn't the right one. That's why we do retargeting ads, because many times before we buy something, and whenever you go on like Amazon or Google and you're scrolling through your social media feeds, whether if it's Instagram or Facebook, sometimes you'll be like, hey, wasn't I just looking at that? Or wasn't I thinking about that? And you saw it pop up. So this is, again, where web analytics comes to favor as well, seeing when you retarget your ads, how much of it visitors again came, the same ones. All right, so I hope that covered a good amount of information on what web analytics is. All right. So I like going into behavior. I did do some online studying at Stanford University with Professor Robert Sapolsky. He teaches behavioral evolution. So I think I took like 40 to 60 courses online with him. So a huge thing in, as we are human beings, we all feel, we all see, we all have our senses, and we want to activate them more, especially when we're working on things to help us achieve and feel better and achieve great things in life and successes. So this was interesting. So these 3 behavior classifications, something that one can detect and record. So that's one behavior, right? You can be able to detect it and record it. In a sense, I also think of it as an intent, because you can technically psychologically record an intent within yourself and detect that you're feeling something and then record it and save it into your head. And web analytics, same thing, detect and record their behavior. Actions are specific goal-driven events with some purpose other than specific action that is observable. So this is obviously specifically a goal that's being driven to. Someone who has an intent to do something, maybe purchase a sock from Nike, maybe buy new shoes from Under Armour, maybe purchase tickets to a football game. Wow, sounds weird saying purchase tickets to go somewhere because we're in quarantine. So reactive response to environmental stimuli. So this is reactive, meaning it's engagement. So we respond every time, if you think about it, whenever you're talking to your family members or your friends or anything that happens, even like when you go to the doctor and they hit the little hammer on your knee, it reacts, right? As human beings, we tend to react a lot. We have active stimuli and we pay attention to where our focus goes. As the saying goes, energy flows where focus goes. So, you know, behavior and understanding your own behavior and kind of like the decisions that you make through the day while you're working on specific things, the more you can grasp that, the more you can grasp the understanding of why people do what they do when you're looking at data, specifically web analytics. When you're looking at this stuff, you can make more of a clear judgment because you're more observant of yourself. So you self-reflect, and then you look at what other people do, and then you can also look at you can say in sample population forms when you're doing segmented data collection with Google Analytics. So behavior is the essential construct of behaviorism and web analytics. Logs record behaviors of users and systems. What that basically means is in these different buckets in data science, in web analytics, on Google, on Facebook, on any single device that you're on, your stuff is being collected. As many times as society or politics tells you, you guys are safe, you guys are, you know, just hit agree. What we're agreeing to is saying, hey, listen, you can have access to all my stuff. It's all good. We're never going to go and read the credit cards that we get and that fine line. You see like, you know, millions of, you know, sentences. And you're like, who's going to ever read this, right? And they've literally put everything in there. You literally cannot, you know, comprehend. And I've had some other people that I've known before that have actually went through all the details and stuff. But point is this, you know, the logs and the records of people, their movement, how they go in and out of websites, how they go in and outside of brick and mortar stores, retail stores, commercials, restaurants, cities, hotels, you name it, right? In today's digital age, I have to tell you guys, like, it's the reality of what we're living, and it's all being collected for the most part. And I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm just saying, like, use it to your advantage by knowing that in a sense. All right.
Any questions from anybody? And Imran, you're on fire. This is excellent.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if you guys are sleeping or
No.
if you guys are even there still.
I mean, let me ask you this: with respect to time, are we? How many more? Are you 20 minutes from finishing? 10 minutes from finishing?
I'd say approximately 10.
All right, cool. Because I mean, there is no. I don't want to rush you. So maybe right now, can I ask? Maybe give you a little break. Can I ask some of my dumb questions? All right, and maybe this might motivate other people to ask their questions.
Should I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's go. There you go.
All right, cool. So let me turn my camera back on. All right. Well, didn't work. Camera start. Hold on.
It's a nice espresso picture shot.
All right. All right. So here's my, and again, hopefully I encourage other people to ask their questions. And it seems like you at least would have some concept of how to answer these things. You mentioned the exponential growth of data. Is there such a thing as purging data? We can't just keep collecting and growing data forever. I mean, if I was Google, it's like, that costs me money, but it makes me money. Inevitably, I want to purge data. Or is that concept does not exist?
You know, it exists and it doesn't exist, meaningless. As many servers are out there today, some of them are not collecting. Some of them are just dumping, and that does exist. But the amount of growth rate that we're going on It shows that we're going to have the capacities over time to have this amount of data available to us.
Okay. So basically, the concept of purging is not a focus right now.
I honestly don't know, to be honest with you. I wouldn't imagine so, to be honest with you.
Okay. You did mention that, I think I wrote the word here, carries. Google carries most of the world's data. Okay. So, and I guess we all can accept that. But my question is, Google Analytics, or Web Analytics. I don't want to say the name brand, Google, like saying Kleenex. With respect to, is there somebody else out there who collects web analytics better than Google? Like, who is Google's competitor in web analytics?
You know, this is a great question, and I'm gonna say, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. 100%, I'm not 100% sure, but based on my research, my experiences, and the things I've dealt with, the people who've worked for Google, I've worked with, and the information that I've collected, Google is a grapevine. Okay, that data is coming to Google. All the other services and vendors you see on the outside that are Google's giving it to them, and they're giving that to them under their name with specific contracts and specific agreements. Google, they're the biggest. Politically, you're not going to see those numbers surging. You're not going to see, there's obviously some specific business practices that they do, but for the most part, my understanding is that all this information that's being there, you can say they can, you can create your own fitness company, for example, right? And then you can create another company supplying the same stuff, but create it as a competitor to you, right? Different bank, different business, different name, different authority, different representatives. Google's a monopoly.
Amazing, amazing. And my next question, and then I'm done with my questions for right now, is...
Great questions.
Well, thank you. Just out of curiosity questions. So in my little 10-minute lecture that I had right now, we saw some examples of what the dashboard looks like for Google Analytics behavior. And it was, the guy was just on, on YouTube going, hey, click here and this opens up. And if that interests you, you can click on that and that opens up. And it's like a never ending hole of things you can, and I said to everyone, the more you know, the more you need to learn, the more you don't know what you don't know. So with all that being said, is it possible for a, common sense business owner to just know enough about his website, his Wix website, and basic Google Analytics to say, okay, that's what I need to know. If I'm spending $500, is it making me money? Or do you really need to know it to the extent that you know it for Google to be of use? And if you're not going to know it the way you know it, I should hire someone like you. I mean,
Max, honestly, that is a great question. And it's a double-edged sword. And the reason I say that is this. On one perspective, you have different people's mindsets on how they, decide to go about their business, right? Some people are comfortable with the amount of money that they're making per week, per month, per year on their business, on their little Wix website, Squarespace website. They're comfortable. Then you have the other side of people who are like, I don't have time to learn this. I need to put somebody there. That's called playing chess. When you go the route of kind of like, depending on what your goals are, how I work with my clients and the things that I do, and when I consult people, it's more about, where that person is in their mindset. Are they really looking to invest in their business, or is it just an idea, right? If it's just an idea, it's a startup, yes, go in, learn about it so you can feel a little bit more confident, understand the basics, terminology, go into it for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Eventually, you need to break that cycle because, look, if you want to grow a business, if you want to become successful, you need to play chess. If you're going to school for web analytics, that needs to be your 100% focus. You create a web analytics business and you start creating the leads and start selling the service. If you're trying to create a business where you don't have to be so involved because you didn't go to school for web analytics, you didn't go to school for becoming a graphic designer, you didn't go to school to become a developer, a programmer. My philosophy on this is this: play chess. Bring somebody. There's cost-effective freelancers and agencies out there around the world today, and you play chess. You put out your map, understand, what the budget's going to be, how much you're really going to invest, and put those pieces there. Some of them may not work out for you. Some of them, they will. And if you go the other route where it's like, hey, I'm a startup, I'm just starting, I need to get more confident, then yes, like, take courses. But as you're traveling, because I've been there and I've been there multiple times, as you're traveling through your analytics, you're looking at your campaigns and you're trying to understand what's happening, you're getting so involved. Sometimes you can get so involved that you start signing up for different, you start signing up for different courses. You start signing up for different things. Like you said, Max, when you figure something out, you want to know more about it and keep going, and it never ends. So instead, you want to play chess. You want to be like, okay, I've learned the basic components and the mechanics on web analytics to what I need to know. Now I need to bring somebody in. Either I need to automate this process, create a weekly or monthly report, quarterly report, and just keep looking at the reports and then make the decisions as a chess player and say, let me drop some more funding here. Let me run this campaign. Let me test this out. Because we get so involved in the little things that we end up getting lost in a sense. I hope that cleared kind of like my philosophy on the double-edged sword.
I just wanted to add something.
Please.
I just wanted to add something. I can relate a lot what you just said, because I went to school for music business, and now studying all the digital marketing. It got me looking at the little things that I have lost focus on the music business, on my main focus, which is the music. And doing all of this, like you said, it has made me kind of lose a little focus on the music that I have been researching about digital marketing, about campaigns, about data, about all of this, that I had lost focus completely on what was my goal.
Yeah, Arnovi, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. So, this is a normal, I won't even call it a phenomena anymore. In normal, natural human behavior, we have a tendency to get caught into things, especially stuff that we are uncertain about or we become fearful for. So what happens, we start creating and capturing this weight on us, but we don't realize it because our minds are always running on autopilot. If you think about your day-to-day activities that you participate in, what you're doing throughout the day, it becomes automated, right? It's just become like autopilot. But then when you have a specific task or an agenda to do, when you have to sit there and you actually have to, roll up your sleeves and get to work, it's hard. It's a little bit difficult. And then you have to try to catch that momentum. And when you do finally catch the momentum, you feel like things are going well and everything's exciting and, things are making sense. All of a sudden, that momentum dies. And it's like, am I looking too much into this? Am I not doing things right? Then it becomes discouraging, right? So you go through all these emotional experiences. And then the best way to recover from it is consistency and be kind to yourself. You have to be light with yourself. You have to be kind with yourself when you're working on yourself. If you work aggressively with yourself, you're putting that negative energy inside of you. And then obviously you're going to be, feeding that off to the energy around you. And you can't see energy, just like we can't see greater things in life that we don't know. Science says the sun comes up by its, whatever mechanics they think. But, for us, whatever you believe, there's something more supreme out there. So if you believe that, then there's an energy between people. There's an energy between yourself. There's something that you share with people. So, I can understand when you say you start something and because I've been there. And the best advice I can give you from personal experience is just be kind with yourself and kind of go on a consistent pace where, one, it's uncomfortable, but you're putting the time in. Every day you're putting 15 minutes, 30 minutes in, 1 hour in, 2 hours in. You're going to see a lot of results within yourself, not just from what you're producing, but also your character. So your discipline, your commitment, your confidence, and all this stuff is going to start basically building your character and your identity more, and you're going to have even a clear direction on what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Man, if this doesn't work out for you, you should be a motivational speaker because you really, you really inspired me, and I mean that. I'm trying to build my own little agency of sorts in the floral industry, and especially now with the COVID situation, you do run to a point that you doubt yourself, you doubt your knowledge, you doubt where you're headed, and you hope for direction. And you have a good head on your shoulders, man. Congratulations, and thank you for that little inspiration. Appreciate it.
Sahid, I'm very humbled. Thank you so much for the appreciation. Very humbled. You know, the truth is this, Sahid, if that didn't exist inside of you, where you're like, you know, it's hard, it's difficult, it's this and that, you're doing something wrong. And that's the reality, because it's got to go through things used to. And the quicker that we can understand that, like, this is part of the process, and that process includes patience. And you cannot buy the patience, you cannot substitute the patience. You actually have to experience it, unfortunately, but there's beauty out of it. And I really appreciate, again, your comment. I'm very humble. Thank you so much. Any more questions, anybody? You guys are awesome.
Do you have a business question for our friend?
Business question?
Yeah, she's.
Oh, we got a chat message going on? Okay. Oh, you guys are so kind. All right.
All right.
So this is from Holly. All right, I'm gonna read the message. Is that okay, or?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, this is from Marianella Holly. Imran, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge. It was very clear and interesting. Thank you so much for your message. Max, thank you very much for your effort and everything you do. Thank you, Max. I have to leave the class at this time. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
You have a bounce rate of
Thank you for your
30% now.
What was that?
You have a bounce rate of 30% now.
Good one.
30% is healthy.
That's
Anything
good, yeah.
higher-
No, it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Anything above, I
Okay.
think 60% is not so good.
Right, right.
All right. So should we continue, guys?
Yeah, I will be sending Imran's email if any of you would like to connect with them afterward.
I have
Yeah, that,
Yes, Chris.
how you doing? How are you? Thanks.
Good. How are you?
Thanks for your knowledge and sharing. It's really
My
good
pleasure. My pleasure.
to see someone like with your knowledge. Would like to see your opinion. If you want to launch a small business during this time, specific when it's like all this COVID-19, what will be your advice to start up your marketing, or what kind of advice I can use to start something really small business, you know?
Great question, Chris. The truth is this: you can't look at the market and say, like, you know, market's doing this right now, I should do this, because then you're kind of going after, in a sense, and I'm not saying you are, but you're kind of looking at the money. You're kind of seeing where the money's going, and that's going to be the hardest part to do, because at the end of the day, that's going to die off. I would say if you're interested in starting a business, look at what you like to do, right? You have to look at like what your habits are, what you like, and you have to connect that with what you're willing to, you know, what do you think about, right? What is it that like entices you? And when you identify those two things, no matter what it is, right? It could be a t-shirt company, it could be a gift card company, it could be anything. Like, you can literally think of anything. You just gotta be able to put your personality into it, flavor it, put some spices into it, be confident about it, understand what you're doing, and roll with it. And when you do that, I swear, I promise, you know, to everything that's so supreme, there's going to be fruits that you're going to get from it. Whether they're going to be the millions and billions that you want, or whether if it's going to be or not. But the fruits is going to be something that, you know, you can't just like make them exist. You actually have to experience them, and you're going to learn more about yourself and really what direction. I've had multiple businesses before, and I've had multiple startup businesses, and some of them are still like sleeping on the side. Some of them are active. And I went into this journey and I created like all these LLCs. I was so excited, and I was like on a mission. I had all this adrenaline going. And all of a sudden I was like, let me just narrow down on one thing. I think like I'm the king and I can do all this, but no, I can't. I need to focus on one thing. I need to give it my energy. And if it works out, great. I'm doing it out of passion. If it doesn't, so good, because I'm still doing it. And eventually you start building that callus like you do in your hand, that resilience. And the right people, and this is one thing that everyone should understand, including myself, the right people who are meant to cross you and the right people who are meant to be your client, they're going to be your client. You don't have to sell to them. You don't have to sell to them. If you have a good product, a good service, you're a good person, you're putting good out, and you're really working hard, the right energies, the right people that you meet are going to support you and they're going to buy your product. And you have to roll with it that way because it's going to be the most easy, alleviated process for you to kind of comprehend and be nice to yourself and, you know, not look at things in a vindictive way, like, oh, that company's doing this better than me, or that person just started and they passed me. It's the competition's with yourself. So you just have to make that commitment with yourself. Like, hey, I'm going to start a new business. I'm going to do some research on myself. I'm going to write it on a piece of paper, pros and cons of things. Then I'm going to look at competitors in the market. Doesn't matter if it's a saturated market, like the fitness industry. It doesn't matter if it's an open market. What really matters is, are you willing to invest your time and energy to really put yourself out there confidently and keep going? And you're going to have hurdles. And that's the part of the process. You know, you can't have all the good and then expect no bad to happen. You're going to go through the emotional roller coaster. The key is this: just be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself, and just know that, you know, it takes time to learn and master things. And everyone's capable of doing it. And we're all capable of getting a cell phone, you know, paying our bills, being on this call right now, you know, having social media accounts. We're all capable of anything. It's really what we choose and decide at the end what we want to do. And that's entire dictatorship up to you.
Thank you so much. It really helps a lot. I take your knowledge.
You're welcome, Chris. Great question.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I just want to add something else, and it makes sense, completely sense what you said. I read a book about 2 years ago about emotions, and ever since I read that book, it helped me a lot. Before, you know, sometimes, like you said, sometimes we do stuff out of thinking about money, and that just we reacting on emotions of the need of the money. So once I learned, I have still working on it. Obviously, we're perfect, but I have learned how to work with my emotion and not to take decisions out of emotions. But the questions that I have is the question that I have an idea, but I don't know how to program. I don't know how to program. The idea, it has involved an app. It involves an app. I have done a couple of research. I just want your advice on what can I do. I don't know how to app. I don't know how to program. I don't know how to program any language, but I don't have a lot of money to pay for like a beta, for a beta, you know, like app or anything like that. Because I have looked over, and it's a lot of people that charge like $10,000 just to do the beta. You know, like I don't have that amount of money to invest on that. What advices can you give me on that?
You know, that's a good question. So, you know, capital is one thing that people, you know, lack. And I work with a lot of people. Like, for example, in my company, just to give you some information, whenever I see people that have actually a vision and idea and they actually want to do it, we have a partner program that we do, and we'll take on equity, and, you know, both parties will invest into the idea, whether it's a mobile app, website, marketplace, whatever it is. And that's something that we practice. Now, I can't speak for all agencies or companies out there, but in the state of your situation, you know, you have a couple different avenues. You don't need to stop. You can come and, you know, create a presentation, a pitch. You can do crowdfunding. You need to invest in this time, because the more you're going to know your app and your product, the more people are going to believe you that, hey, it's going to work, right? So spend the time, do your research on the app, create a PowerPoint presentation, create a pitch deck, understand the market, understand the competitors, understand why this app's going to be the best app in the world, and stand behind it confidently. Then go out there and keep promoting it and do little bits and pieces. You don't have to bring $10,000. Go to Fiverr.com, go to Upwork.com, and go to different freelancers and agencies and see what they can do based on a certain budget that you can set, and just work pieces at a time. Eventually, if you're creating content on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, you're sharing your idea, and hey, this other guy, he's not an investor, but you know what? He loves your app so much, he's going to take equity off of his house. He's going to go get a loan, or he has cash. He's going to invest in your idea because you believe it. And when someone believes in something and they push it, other people attract to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me. Hello?
Yes.
I know your agency offers a mobile application service. Can you tell us how you see the future of this sector in digital marketing, and how you think this sector will change?
Oof, that's a very good question, Francisco. Very good question. You know, I'm not going to give myself, guys, that much credit. Like, that's a great question. I don't think I'm actually, you can say, have the right knowledge to answer it, but I have a theoretical, you know, visual, I can say, I guess, is what you're asking. I think that, so first of all, mobile apps, there's millions of them out there today, and everyone's always trying to create an app. On your cell phone device, you probably have between 20 and 40 or more apps on average, and you probably only use maybe 6 to 9 a month on average. So the competition in the app game, it's there, right? But then you have to go to the next layer. The next layer is what? Which industry are you in? Who's your target? What kind of people are they? Why would they use your app? Who's their competitor? Are they using an app like this before? So all these other things come out. My idea is in the future, what's going to happen is eventually, right now I can see it transitioning where apps are going to be for services. Example is this, and I'm working on something similar to this. You enroll your business into this app and you just pay for leads. You don't have to do anything else. You just put the name in, you put the company in, you put your audience in, and the leads come. When it comes to competitor apps, it's about you managing and maintaining your farm in a sense, right? People who are near your farm or know you, or you have something great to offer them and they're willing to fly from a different country or different world, they're gonna download your app. And your app is gonna be your farm that you're gonna have to maintain. So for those apps to exist in the future, yes, they're going to exist and more apps are gonna come out. But the reality is, I think the app service game is going to turn more into a business, online learning, and more of marketplaces. And that's really going to be, and the games are going to be obviously segmented through different audiences as well. But the apps are going to stay there. They're going to keep growing, but they're going to grow probably in a more simple manner. And rather than so much apps, so much data is going around, they're going to sophisticate it where it's categorical and based on identity because they're collecting so much of our information. And you're only going to see the apps that you are interested in at the end. And they're already doing that now. You can call it marketing. But the future of the theory of mine is they're going to eventually identify you as this person. And when these apps become available, like you're eventually going to only have probably like 5 apps on your phone, I think. And those apps are going to do basically everything. Theory. What do you think, Francisco?
I think it's a challenge because I see how it's changing the use of mobile applications and how many companies and many small business trying to get their own apps. And I say, well, it's a challenge. That's what I think.
Absolutely. That was a great question.
I have another question in the last one, I promise.
Of course. Sorry. Lee, go ahead.
What do you think about cryptography and blockchain with what I mean about
cryptocurrency and blockchain?
Yes.
Okay.
With them like becoming mainstream with everything that's going on about the privacy and all of that. Mostly the cryptocurrencies too. Because you mentioned something earlier about the privacy.
Yeah, so your question's about cryptocurrency and
blockchain. Yeah, how
so you want to know what's going to happen with it?
Yeah, what do you think?
Okay. I'm going to be just blunt with my answer because I'm in tech. So for me, I don't pay attention to this blockchain cryptocurrency. I've done my research on it, decentralized banking and all this and all that. That's a ways away. Yes, it may be happening now, but it's kind of like chasing something that you can't see. And I think that right now I can't see, really what's going to happen with it. There's already electronic money happening. But to be honest with you, it's like, it's an undiscoverable kind of route right now, especially because it's not regulated. So there's a kind of a problem going on there. And that's going to be a play of power to the people, power to politics and government. Just like what's happening right now in lockdown, right? We're giving up our power and we're staying at home listening because we're under power. So we're having all this fear and anxiety within ourselves from all this chaos that we're consuming through our eyes all day. And we're locking ourselves down and giving the power to the government. Exactly like
right.
that.
But what I mean, just because I seen, I read a lot about it, and it's not only the currency. What I'm trying to refer to was the projects behind it, like the act built on blockchain and all of that.
To be honest with you, I really don't have much information on that. Yes,
thank you.
You're welcome, Arnovi.
I like to raise my hand, but sometimes.
Hey,
thanks again. Let me ask you, man, with taking away the fact that we hope for the best, you and I and Max as well, since we're in the industry itself and it's our business. What do you think is really going to happen? What is the future of e-commerce business after COVID?
Okay.
Do you think there's going to be a process to get to a boom? Do you think it's going to be a renaissance of sorts? What do you see I guess our industry, and I'm in the floral industry niche,
Okay.
Marketing aspect and consulting. So, but generally, I see something for the floral industry. We're going e-commerce. That's just what's going to happen. I'm following everybody. And so what do you think is going to happen in that realm?
I think that like things are going to get restored over time. I think that, there's a lot of manipulation in society going on right now. And, we don't want to give into that. I think what we want to do is kind of stay more firm on our ground and know that, that the economy is going to get better. We are going to recover from this and things are going to go back into place and become better. And the opportunity is there now because, right now, the reason that we're all sitting online, I don't know if this is an online class, but the reason that we're all online right now is because we're under quarantine. And, we're just following the rules right now. But eventually, once this bypasses, I don't know about the stock market because that's a whole, that's like going to a casino, right? Yeah, you can have strategy, this and that. At the end of the day, to me, you just got to have capital and you got to be able to know your numbers and statistics and all that stuff. But when it comes to e-commerce world, when it comes to online digital world, it's going to get better. It's going to open up. And if you want to take advantage of this time, especially if you're in floral, right? You want to hit emotional hot buttons that make people relax, that make people's anxiety go away, fear go away. So create marketing campaigns that position you guys as, the alleviators in a sense, right? You can call it the alleviator campaign or something. Because once this passes, think about yourself, right? Once everything recovers, you're going to go outside. You're going to go to the restaurant. You're going to order stuff. You're going to go back into what you're conditioned to over the past of X amount of years to do. And we're not going to just reprogram, become, NWO or something.
Do you think that do you think the e-commerce platform is going to have a boom because of everybody shopping on Amazon, of the instant gratification that we're having right now, of everybody reinventing themselves? That's what I see in the floral industry is your farms are going direct to the consumer through e-commerce, and other little small farms are partnering with big florists and starting to just spread their wings as much as possible. You see our whole entire commerce of sorts happening that way. I know we're wishful thinking, yeah, let's bring it on. But what do you, in a timid way, what do you think? I
think that, like I said, I think that the economy is going to recover over time for sure. When the economy falls, it drops, right? The Great Depression dropped. This is happening, and then crazy disaster, $2 trillion stimulus, whatever, and all this stuff. Yeah, we went negative. We're gonna come back up. Maybe it may not be immediate. Maybe it may be just as much, but over time, it's gonna recover itself. If it's the world is ending, that's a different story. But based on what has happened and what I can speak from historical events and historical data, when you see wavelengths going up and down, you already have an understanding the next wavelength is going to be coming up on top. Yeah. So when it comes to the economy, when it comes to e-commerce and the industry, what's going to happen, it's not just about being hopeful. It's also looking at the historical data and people's behaviors on how they buy and sell.
Yeah.
Imran, excited to see your next slides.
Awesome.
Thank you for entertaining us and sharing your knowledge. Awesome.
My pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
Oh, I was going to say something before you start with the slides.
Yes.
Sahid, hi, Imran. Thank you for your talk. It was great to hear.
My pleasure.
But Sahid, too, I wanted to add my 2 cents on your question about where the email, the internet marketing and the where this is going. This is growing. Every day, more and more professionals that are doing what we are planning to do are going to be needed. People, all the integrations that you get, all the Google Analytics, these are very complex things if you want to use them correctly. So eventually, I know it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy because I've done it myself. I've invested a lot of time in trying to learn, and I'm Google Analytics certified, and still I recognize that I'm still, you know, not very proficient as I would love to be. You know, you need to keep on track of every little change. What Professor said is very accurate. You know, the platforms change all the time, and you need to be on your feet in order to keep up with the technology. So whatever you can do to learn and to get your feet wet on all these new applications and technology for e-commerce is, you know, more than welcome in all these industries that are going to be needing our services. So yes, this is, for example, I believe, I don't know if you use Instacart, and that's an example that I'm going to cite. I've never used it before because I think it's very expensive, and I'm very, you know, I like to do my shopping on my own. I like cooking. I like to select my groceries, but, you know, right now we have no choice. So I'm using it, and it's extremely expensive, but you don't have no choice but to use it because you cannot go and, you know, get your own stuff. So all these service apps that are right there, and that are, you know, Instacart hardly has any competition, are going to be growing. Education apps, service apps, deliveries, all that stuff is going to grow, and you know, whatever we can do to learn more about this electronic e-commerce, you name it how you feel like it, we need to do, because it's going to be helpful at the end of the day. And I don't, you know, I speak to many people that have businesses, and they cannot keep up with all the changes that emerge every single day, and all the conferences, and all, Facebook changed their algorithm, Instagram is no longer supporting likes, whatever, it happens, you know, every single day. If you receive all the newsletters that I guess Professor Ramirez is subscribed to, you know, and I'm subscribed to many of them, you read and read and read, and you say, oh my God, now we need to start all over again, and we need to rethink the strategy all over again, and we need to start, you know, changing our message, and there's so many things to be done. And I don't think that you can do it on your own if you're a business owner, if you're taking care of your business, and you know, there's too many bases to cover. So the need of a professional is certainly a necessity.
Like chess.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And, you know, like, it goes back to what I said earlier, right? It's the double-edged sword game. You're either going to be on yourself and start with the startup, and you're going to just, like, you know, try to learn the basic mechanics, and don't try to get too caught up into, you know, Google update this, Facebook did this, and what happened. You know, that you don't need to get too involved in it. But if you're going to do it yourself, like, you know, you could stay up to date to it to an extent. The flip side is you want to play chess, right? Checkers versus chess. You want to play chess, you want to just know the basic components, and then like, okay, this guy's charging $9 an hour, he's over there. This person's charging $12 an hour, and they're both consuming 20 hours a month, right? Just to get started. But if you're going to go in a little bit harder, you're going to be like, all right, you know, I'm on a dedicated team. I want to have all this, and you can get that. They're available, and they're within budgets that you can actually form. And again, if you're going on the more of a, you know, I want to do it myself, learn, and that's going to be personal preference. And if you feel more confident doing that route because you know more that way, and you can make more clear decisions for yourself, then you can do that route. You know, my professional recommendation is, you know, whoever, if any of you have a business now, if any of you are thinking about doing a startup, or if you already have a business that's existed or is trying to grow or going through these problems, like, you want to make sure that you're concentrating on the thing that's going to make it move, right? Not concentrating on, you know, you look at a vehicle, for example, right? If you take the engine out of the vehicle, it just looks nice, right? That's just the design. The engine inside is all these little pieces, and, you know, chains and everything is all connected and stuff. You don't want to go into there because you're going to get lost, you're going to get confused, discouraged, and you're going to back out and be like, it's not for me. That's why when they say, like, give it to the professionals, they exist out there, and you can find them within a budget, and you can use your time more effectively, especially through social media today, YouTube and Twitter. Create content that you're happy about, you're passionate about, and share it. You're going to see that that's going to create the magnitude that will give you that more confidence to invest resources and invest into things that you don't want to do or you can't do.
Just to add my little 2 cents to Saeed's question, in my opinion, the aftermath of COVID in the economy, in the industry, I think we're going to see a much needed boost in education. Right
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
nationwide, schools are suffering an average of 30% drop in student enrollment. So after COVID, from small business to corporate America, everyone's going to either reinvent their digital strategy, or businesses that have been traditionally brick and mortar are going to go through their digital transformation into now offering their services online, which is going to open opportunities to play chess and hire people. And then people who got dismissed from work, people in hospitality, they're not going to say, you know what, I don't want that to happen to me again. I need to upgrade my skills. But you know what, maybe I don't have time to go to a class or buy a degree, but you know what, I can take a course online and I can learn Google Analytics. Because when I went on Indeed, there's 1,000 jobs. People can't find enough people who understand Google Analytics. So maybe that's a skill worth investing your time. And the beautiful part of that is you can get certified free. So there's going to be an up in the market for people who have more digital tech savvy skills, and people who just experience being laid off who are going to up their game through education.
Absolutely. And I 100% agree with what you're saying, Max, because even on my side in Techner's agency, we're seeing a rise in actually a lot of teachers and professors investing in their ideas. They're investing in creating apps for mathematics, investing in apps for a school system, investing in these different ideas. And the majority of them are teachers, because they see that it's a threat, right? It's a threat now to their livelihood and what they love to do and what they're passionate about. So, this learning management system, LMSs, are being more and more, used, and more technologies than they come out. Same thing with telemedicine, right? People don't have to go to the doctor. They can just click the doctor, boom, he's on the phone right there when you need him.
Imran, am I saying your name correct?
Imran.
Right. So usually we do like 30 minutes after the class to hang out. I would like to cordially invite you to hang out with us while we're on Zoom, just to kind of chit chat and kind of like what we're doing now, man.
Sure.
I love, thank you
I
for your
appreciate
insight.
the invitation. Sure. Absolutely. I like your guys' energy.
If we do it again, Max, if we do it again today, but we've been doing it after the class.
Imran, we're ready for your next slides, and thank you again.
Yes, of course. All right, let's bring this up. All right. Can everybody see?
Yes.
Awesome. So 4 essential steps to effective web analytics process. I really don't want you guys to get too much, the web analytics process, kind of like have an understanding of the fundamentals of what's going on, right? The first thing that you have is the collection of data. You're just literally collecting data, right? This is what's happening. And what drives that is people who have the intent to process that data of information, right? Now it's going to be moved into something that's going to create some type of understanding of it, right? And that's going to allow them to collect this information in web analytics when it comes to how much time they're spending on the page, what the bounce rate is, and what the unique visitors are, right? Then that drives developing key performance indicators, KPIs, conversion rates, task completion rate, average order value. Now, KPIs, this is where sophistication, intuition, understanding, knowledge, and experience all have to be utilized. And this is where people, they just look at numbers. Oh, this number is greater, this number is less. No. Look at the thing that's actually driving it. So you have to, again, reverse engineer, go from processing data, reverse engineer, and go back to collection, understand the different approaches in behavior and mindset and campaign that's being distributed, what the content is, and go back and illustrate the idea of what story it's creating to create the KPIs. Why should you focus on this KPI? Does it have any relevance to what you're doing and what it's driving? And then finally, you use your intuition and you use everything that you've done with KPIs and you look at your data. Now is the time for you to use your strategy. This is where you play chess. This is where you play the game. And the game unfolds. A lot of people think like, hey, I just started a business. I have a campaign. I'm going to run it. And in 1 month, I'm going to make $10,000. I'm going to make $50,000, $100,000 because I put X amount of dollars in. Unfortunately, what happens is we create these expectations and then it doesn't happen. And then we get discouraged and we're like, I didn't do it right. Something's not right. Something's wrong. And you start looking in the wrong direction. The reality, the truth is that you need to give more time to it. Again, this is where patience kicks in. So you need to look at over a period of time, 1 quarter, 2 quarters, half a year, a full year, 3 months campaigns, and you need to exhibit this. And it takes time to build a mastery, like successful business. And it's not complicated. And I'm not trying to make it, you guys feel like, you know, it's going to be complicated to do something, whether you have an established business, whether you don't, whether you're thinking about a startup business, whatever the case may be. And again, this again goes into the hands of you playing chess and saying, you know, this is a lot of stuff. Let me just get a web analytics guy. Let him take care of it, right? But if you're eager to learn, then you know, bring that person to teach you, or you do YouTube videos or do courses online. So as you formulate the online strategy and you deploy it, again, it drives back to the KPI, it drives back into the processes and drives back into collection of data, and you do the A/B testing over again. And then over time, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, maybe 2 years, you've officially defined, you know, your keywords. You've officially defined, you know, what your brand is, what your brand personality is, what your identity is. And when you go to web analytics, your numbers is going to be your language. You're going to know, you know, the traffic user rate is this much. The bounce rate is this much. It's 2% too high than it was before, right? All these little small numbers are going to come into view once you experience it. And you can never substitute experience. So you have to go through the processes in order for you to grow and learn. And the most accelerated process of doing this is, like I said, you know, you don't have to go and learn this. Like if you're serious about your business or starting something, or if you're going to study this, yes, I highly recommend go all in, right? Whatever you're doing, go all in on it. Don't do part-time, don't do half-time. If you have a job, if you're going to school, create that side hustle. You have the time, there's 24 hours a day. So it really just comes down to your decision and going forward and taking the steps. So that's it, you know, overall the 4 essential steps to effective web analytics process. I'm going to keep
some terms that I'm not familiar with. Can you go back, please?
Yes.
Some terms I'm not familiar with: timestamp and query term under collection of data.
Collection of data. So timestamp, what's the most simple way? Have you ever had AIM or Instant Messenger?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember when the time comes up, or when you send an email, you see a little timestamp?
Yep.
That's the timestamp.
Okay.
Right. Query term basically is what you're typing in is being searched. Why is on Google COVID-19 being searched 5 million times every hour, right? That's a query term. So you're identifying and giving it value and authority and ranking.
Okay, time on page, la, 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 la. All right, the rest I think we understand or have covered. Cool.
I tried not making web analytics as boring. Okay. Analysis and reporting. So there's tons of great metrics on Google Analytics available today. You have the different attributions, different value channels, different rates. You can create goals on there, of course, demographics, user flow, user behavior. I'm sure you guys probably became a little bit more familiar with this, identifying what keywords and what campaigns. I didn't want to go too much into this because web analytics is a lot, and analysis and reporting, I can do another like 20 courses on this. But the general understanding of, you know, the reporting process for sales, for leads, for traffic, for visitors, for bounce rates, all your information is now, you know, in this architecture system with an infrastructure that allows you to create this raw data into sophisticated, intuitive information, because you are optimizing it by doing an analysis. As you're doing the analysis over time, you start creating the language within yourself and your business and understanding these specific keywords, these specific phrases. This is what my cost per acquisition is. You know, this is what my cost per click is. These are my ratios. And this analysis and reporting becomes like your daily language over time. All right. And I think you just went over acquisition, behavior, and conversions, right?
We did. Does anyone have any questions?
Awesome. And this is traffic. So that's it, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. Class, a round of applause. Awesome.
Thank you, guys. I heard the echoes. I hear around the world is bouncing back and forth.
Everyone has their, out of courtesy, their microphones on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any questions or anything?
Let's see your face again. Hey, ma'am.
You want to see my face? Okay. I know not a lot of people can get. All right. Let's see. There you go.
The class is sending you a super thank you.
Oh, you guys are welcome. Let me read some of them. Thank you. Thank you, Elund. You're welcome, Legia Ramirez. You're welcome, Elund. I hope I'm saying your name right. Julian, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys liked it. Thank you for your information. Juliana, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Arnovi, Francisco, thank you. You guys are so welcome. I really appreciate you guys' energy and time. I think it's been an awesome opportunity to, come together and share virtually during quarantine.
Absolutely. So I know Sahid's excited for our hangout to begin. So class is over. So right now we can talk about, he's laughing. We can hang out. So,
we're gonna stop the recording.
yeah.
What's up, Eram?
Yeah, I'm actually going to stop the recording. And do you know by chance if I need to do anything so that I don't lose that video?
I think either they email it to you or you have to download a link or something.
You have to download a link, yeah.
Yeah,
You have to download it to yourself. When you do it, you choose to download it to yourself.
Yeah. If you guys want, feel free. Max, if you want to share